Part 49. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 493. On the way back, Yejing asks Xiao Qinglian, "Do you have a place to stay in the demon city?" Xiao Qinglian shook her head, "No, I haven't even been to the demon city, where can I find a place to stay?" After she came out of the ruins in the ruins of the lonely city, she wanted to walk around the world and take a look. Who knew that she would be taken in by the Big Dipper pirates just after she left the Blue Star? The world is so big, I want to see it. This thought was also suppressed by her. On the Blue Star, she had only stayed in the lonely city, which was already scrapped. This time when she came to the Demon City, a key city on the Blue Star, she was actually a little bit looking forward to it. Yejing pondered and said, "Then you can stay with me first. After a few days of rest, I will take you out to play." Xiao Qinglian looked indifferent, "Whatever. It doesn't matter where you live, there is no threat anyway." With her strength, there are not many people who can threaten her. When she flew back to the Demon City, the sky was completely dark, the stars were dazzling, and the moonlight was all over the ground. The Magic City, known as the city that never sleeps, is now truly shining. Neon lights illuminate the darkness of the sky. The colorful starlight is reflected in Xiao Qinglian's eyes, and the excitement in her heart rises all of a sudden. Wow! So beautiful! Xiao Qinglian's eyes were straight when she saw such a beautiful night city for the first time. She was like a country girl who had just come from the countryside. Now she looks like a real little girl, pursuing the ultimate dazzling. Crossing the wall of the Magic City, she landed in the inner city. Gray was very kind and sent Yejing directly to his doorstep, in front of the small villa in the inner city. "Okay, Yejing, I'll go back first, and practice in 2 days." After Gray said this, he turned around and left. Wait. At this time, Zhao Danggong suddenly became anxious. "What about me? Where do I live?" He didn't have a fixed residence in the Magic City. The last time he came, he still lived in Yejing's house, but now Xiao Qinglian moved in. Naturally, he didn't dare to live with him because he had just been scolded. "How about you stay in a hotel?" Yejing suggested. Zhao Danggong's face was dark. "Are you kidding? I am a successful person after all, and you let me stay in a hotel." He cursed in his heart that he valued love over friendship. Gray sighed, "Then stay at my house first, anyway, I have no shortage of rooms." Gray took Zhao Danggong away. "Let's go in too." Xiao Qinglian might also be sleepy, in a lazy state, her eyes were almost unable to open, and she only hummed lightly when she heard Yejing's words. Opening the door, the familiar little nest appeared in his sight. "You go take a shower first, I'll clean up the room for you." Yejing had just finished speaking, and when he turned around, he saw Xiao Qinglian lying on the sofa, drowsy. "Take a shower first." Yejing pulled Xiao Qinglian up and took her to the bathroom. "I know you don't need your help." Xiao Qing muttered dissatisfiedly, shook off Yejing's hand and walked into the bathroom. Rebellious, even if she is old, her personality is still that of a child. Will he still be like this when he grows up to his 20s? Yejing shook his head and walked into the guest room next to his room, changed a new set of bedding, and opened the window to let in some air. It took him more than 20 minutes to clean up before he left the room. There was a sound of running water in the bathroom, and it was estimated that he would have to take a shower for a while. It was troublesome for girls to take a shower, but for him, 5 minutes was enough. Yejing lay on the sofa, squinting his eyes to relax his nerves, and finally he could have a good rest. His consciousness gradually blurred, and sleepiness filled his mind. It took an unknown amount of time before he was woken up by shouting. "Yejing, Yejing! Hey! Get up!" A faint fragrance came into his nose, which made his brain slightly shake, and he suddenly became much more awake. Have you finished washing? Yejing opened his eyes in a daze, and looked at the little Qinglian standing in front of him. His eyes widened. Water drops still hung on the delicate body of Xiao Qinglian, who was as beautiful as a lotus emerging from the water. Her black and beautiful hair was scattered on her shoulders. Her pair of gem-like green eyes stared at Yejing with sparkling eyes. She was not wrapped in a bath towel, but in the old light-colored long skirt. However, this set was obviously thinner than before, and her curvy figure could be vaguely seen. It was still too small. Yejing took a glance and retracted his gaze, with a look of disappointment on his face. Why do I feel like you are thinking about something rude? Xiao Qinglian raised her eyebrows, a blush hung on her delicate face, and a look of disgust flowed in her eyes. No. Yejing said casually, go and rest after washing, I'll take you out to play in 2 days. When it comes to playing, Xiao Qinglian's eyes suddenly brightened a little, and she nodded repeatedly, it's settled. After speaking, she raised her jade arm and wanted to pat Yejing's shoulder, but unfortunately she couldn't reach it, so she had to touch Yejing's arm instead. Then, Xiao Qinglian turned around and walked upstairs on her tender bare feet. It's time for me to rest. Yejing stripped off all his clothes neatly and went into the bathroom. What a nice smell! The heat and fragrance in the bathroom had not yet dissipated. This tempting fragrance made him distracted and he hurriedly recited a few sentences of the criminal law. After a quick rinse, Yejing returned to his room. After returning to his room, he finally relaxed. Yejing didn't even wear a piece of clothing, just lying on the bed, and closed his eyes naked. He didn't know how many days had passed since he closed his eyes. Gray's house. Oh my God. It's so big. When Zhao Danggong came to Gray's manor, he was shocked. In the center of the magic city, it occupied a manor of several square kilometers. It was too rich. What does your family do? Zhao Danggong asked in surprise. Gray didn't pretend to be cool, but just said very calmly, it just took over most of the aquatic business in the entire Blue Star. Aquatic? Zhao Danggong suddenly realized, it turns out to be selling salted fish. Damn country bumpkin. Gray's face suddenly darkened. This sentence reminded him of Yejing, who also commented on his family in this way at that time. No knowledge. Stop talking and go in. Gray arranged a room for Zhao Danggong and ignored him. If it was a young beauty, Gray would definitely provide a full one-stop service, even the sleeping service would be taken care of by himself. But Zhao Danggong, this stinky man, it's good enough that he can take him in. It was the first time for him to bring a man home to live, even Yejing had never lived in his house. Bringing a man home, the thought of it makes me sick. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 494. Yejing felt refreshed after sleeping for 2 days, but Gray and the others didn't know. Who knows whether they are sleeping or awake now? With Gray's financial resources, it's unclear whether they slept alone or with a beautiful woman. Thinking of this, Yejing couldn't help but feel envious and jealous. To be honest, I also want to go to Gray's house. Yejing called several times before someone answered. Gray's confused voice came from the other end of the phone. What's wrong? Yejing said angrily, what's wrong? I haven't heard from you for 2 days. I thought you guys slept to death. The last time I slept for so long was when I came back from Pluto. At that time, when he woke up, there were a million missed calls on his phone. This time, there wasn't a single missed call. In other words, he was the first to wake up. Gray smiled dryly and said, no, you don't know, Zhao Xingba and I don't sleep all the time. Yejing. Yejing looked shocked, damn it. You guys don't really need healthcare, do you? You don't know how to ask me to join you. Bullshit. Xiao Qinglian asked curiously from the side, what is comprehensive healthcare? Great Healthcare is a one-on-one massage, a healthcare model that can effectively relieve body fatigue and release spirit and stress, Yejing explained in a low voice. What a big healthcare thing, Gray said with a black line on his face. Don't we have a flaming dragon? Zhao Xingbang and I couldn't hold it back, so we cut some dragon meat and barbecued it. After eating, we were very excited and vented for the whole day. Sleep. Dragon meat. Then it's our common property, and you two roast it? Yejing was speechless. Tell me, why don't we all eat together? Sorry, forgot. Forget it, hey. Yejing sighed. Are you awake? Qinglian wants to buy some daily necessities. I want to ask you where there is a large shopping mall. Take us there. Etc. As soon as Yejing finished speaking, Xiao Qinglian came over, very close. Her bright eyes stared at Yejing with an inexplicable look in her eyes. Yejing felt numb all over with this look. What do you want to do? Xiao Qinglian touched her belly, looking pitiful, and said, I have never eaten dragon meat. She laughed innocently. How about we eat meat first? I have never eaten dragon meat before. Hearing Xiao Qinglian's proposal, Yejing was even more moved. The flame dragon was a huge asset to him in the inner space of the earth. It was a bit uneasy just to keep it in Gray's pocket. Who knows when it will be available? It will be eaten up by the two of them. After Yejing thought for a while, he said to Gray on the other end of the phone, let's not go shopping now. If Qinglian and I want to eat dragon meat, please make arrangements. We will go find you now. Gray, okay, I'll send you an address. It's at my manor. Yejing asked doubtfully, can your manor house a whole flaming dragon? Let's divide the flaming dragon as well. If you want to do it, you have to do it one step at a time. Since they were all going to eat dragon meat, he might as well cut the flaming dragon into pieces together, and he would take advantage of this time to forge weapons. Real one-stop service. The other end of the phone paused slightly, as if thinking about something. After a while, Gray said, the manor is big enough and has a place, but the corpse of the flaming dragon appears in my house. Isn't it too public? I'm afraid it will be on the hot search in less than an hour. This is true. The largest manor of the Gray family is about 10 square kilometers and 10,000 meters in diameter. If the flame dragon is moved out of the space in 2 batches, there will barely be enough space. However, even if it is divided into 2 batches, it will definitely attract attention. The unscrupulous, arrogant, and domineering flame dragon was eaten by someone else. This is the biggest news. Yejing, however, didn't care and said casually, have we done enough trouble? Are you still afraid of being a hot search topic? Besides, this is your family's manor, and your family will keep an eye on it if anything happens. After hearing Yejing's persuasion, Gray hesitated and nodded, okay, let's do it. You guys can come here first. After making contact, Yejing put away his phone, turned to look at Xiao Qinglian, and said, let's go. Oh. Go eat dragon meat. Eat dragon meat. Xiao Qinglian jumped up from the sofa in excitement, jumping up and down. Then he stepped on a hole in the sofa and almost fell down. Haha, Xiao Qinglian looked at hole B on the sofa with an embarrassed smile. Haha, Yejing twitched the corner of his mouth expressionlessly. He took Xiao Qinglian out, took a taxi and went straight to Gray Manor. The bustling magic city, the streets with people coming and going. At this time, after 2 days of repairs, the shock of the Kilin Mountains flying away has faded. The world can still turn around without anyone. Oh, it will float. More than an hour later, they got off at the gate of Gray Manor. Such a large amount of real estate could no longer shock Yejing. With him now, it is more than enough to buy a small piece of land in the inner city of the Demon City. You can even buy a small planet fragment out there. At the gate of the manor, Gray was waiting for them, looking down at his cell phone. Hey, we're here. Yejing walked over and patted Gray on the shoulder. Gray didn't look up, but lowered his head and said casually, I know, wait a minute. Yejing came over curiously, wanting to see what he was doing, so focused. Gray's hand slid quickly on the screen of his mobile phone, his eyes focused. Fighting monsters. Isn't this playing games? Yejing's face was full of black lines. When did you become addicted to mobile games? Gray shook his head. No, my family is transforming into high-tech products, and this mobile game is our test product. Shock. Shocked. Shocked. Yejing was so shocked that he didn't know what to say. A salted fish seller transformed into a mobile game. This world is too crazy, right? Please don't show off. Yejing also glanced at the upper right corner of the mobile phone screen. VIP 104. Haha, he knew it by looking at this membership level. Another money-making game appeared. Don't play it. It'll be over soon. Snap. Gray's mobile phone shattered into pieces. Gray looked up blankly, a little at a loss. Xiao Qinglian said calmly, I told you to stop playing. Gray shook the metal slag in his hand, wanting to cry but without tears. I thought it was Yejing who said that. Gray sighed, forget it, let's go in, Zhao Danggong is preparing the barbecue grill and is waiting for you to arrive. Following Gray, Yejing and the others walked into the manor. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 495. Following Gray, we walked around the buildings and came to the back mountain. The service staff here had been cleared out by Gray and his team, and even some small buildings had been demolished by Gray. There were rock eyries and small springs in the back mountain, but they were all moved by Gray. This area completely cleared out 2 or 3 square kilometers of open space. In the open space, Zhao Danggong was fiddling with charcoal and grilling utensils. There was black dust on his face, and he looked very embarrassed. Hearing the footsteps, Zhao Danggong raised his head and smiled at Yejing and the others, you are finally here. Where is the dragon? Where is the meat? Xiao Qinglian's saliva was almost flowing out, and her eyes were shining. She scanned the open space back and forth, looking for ingredients. Gray patted the space ring on his hand and said, here it is. He asked Yejing, do you want to take out a whole dragon? Or cut a piece first? Take it out directly. There's no one here anyway. Okay, make way. After Yejing and the others made way, Gray emptied the space ring. Then, there was a loud bang. The whole huge flaming dragon appeared in everyone's sight. Yejing and the others who had seen the flaming dragon before were fine. But Xiao Qinglian, who saw it for the first time, was different. Xiao Qinglian covered her mouth with a look of surprise on her pretty face. Oh my god, a whole dragon. A crystal white mark hung from her lips. She thought it was a piece of dragon meat, but who knew that Yejing and the others would give her such a big surprise? It turned out to be a whole flaming dragon. She had heard of the name of the flaming dragon before. It was a tyrant creature standing on the top of the pyramid. Even she didn't dare to provoke it. But such a tyrant actually died? They hunted it? Xiao Qinglian pulled Yejing's sleeve dully and asked in confusion, did you hunt it? Yejing nodded proudly, yes, although it was a robbery, we finally caught it. Xiao Qinglian was silent for a long time, and finally uttered, awesome. Such a big flaming dragon could not be hidden from others. The first to discover it were the servants in the manor. Ah! The maid who was cleaning nearby screamed and fainted after seeing this behemoth. Then there was a commotion, and the whole manor was in chaos. Gray listened to the noise in his ears and looked helpless. I knew this would happen. Yejing shrugged his shoulders, it doesn't matter, it will be exposed anyway. A few minutes later, Gray's father came. Gray's father looked at the flaming dragon quietly placed in his own manner, and his originally solemn expression suddenly became poor. His face was pale, his eyes were wide open, and he didn't know what to say. Gray. Come over here. Gray licked his face and moved closer. Gray's father suppressed his shock, pointed at the body of the flaming dragon, and asked in a deep voice, "What's going on? Explain it to me." He also saw Yejing and saluted Yejing slightly. He already knew that his son's good friend was also a director of the Federation. Afterwards, he looked at Xiao Qinglian again, with a trace of fear in his eyes. This was someone he couldn't see through. Gray looked at his father and explained in a low voice, "We encountered a seriously injured flaming dragon in the Earth's core space." Then what? Then it was all over. Gray's father slapped Gray on the back of his head and said with a dark face, "Speak nicely to me." Gray was scared, "I just picked up an opportunity. I couldn't help but slaughtered the seriously injured flaming dragon. Yejing contributed the most, so he got the big share. Zhao Danggong and I got the small share." "I see." Gray's father looked at his son with complicated eyes. He didn't expect it. His son is so awesome now, so awesome. He just took over the family, and his son is so awesome. Isn't the throne of the patriarch unstable? Ahem. Gray's father coughed twice, glanced at the flaming dragon, and asked, "What are you going to do now?" He. Gray smiled awkwardly, "I have never eaten dragon meat from the 3 disasters in my life. I want to try it." Eat meat. When Gray's father heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. After a few seconds of silence, he said, "You guys are eating too lonely, aren't you?" Gray looked at his father with contempt, "If you want to eat, just say so. Bring the stove yourself. You are really not a good son." Gray's father patted his son's shoulder with satisfaction and turned to call for help. "Wife, come and eat dragon meat. Second madam, go downstairs and eat meat. Third madam, fourth madam, 13th madam." Gray heard different female voices coming from the phone, and couldn't help but sigh and walk towards Yejing. Yejing asked, "Are you okay?" Gray shook his head, "It's okay, I just feel that many people are expected to come." "It's okay, how much meat can you eat?" Yejing looked very generous. The dragon meat on the flame dragon is not something that a few people can eat up. In addition, dragon meat is also the least valuable part of the flame dragon, so it's okay to eat it as a favor. The preparations were quick. In less than a few minutes, dozens of iron stoves gathered around. They were all super high-end stoves used to grill high-level monsters. Tisk, the life of rich people is so simple and unpretentious. Then, under the envious and surprised gaze of Yejing, under the gloomy gaze of Gray, and under the contemptuous gaze of Xiao Qinglian, Gray's father came over with a group of beautiful women. Xiao Qinglian had disgust in her eyes and muttered with contempt, "Old pervert." Yejing hammered Gray's chest, "Your father, you are in great shape." Gray's face was dark, "This old yinbai." When these beautiful women came over, each of them rubbed Gray's face very kindly, and they looked very intimate, without any grudges between rich families. Maybe it was because of the child. Before Gray, the young patriarch, was formed, their second aunt, third aunt, and 13th aunt could not get pregnant. But now, it's almost the same. There is still a long time, and it is almost time for the previous generation of their family to branch out. A group of beautiful young women passed by with a strong aroma, leaving behind a face full of red lip marks and a helpless Gray. "Let's get ready," Yejing said, "the fiery dragon meat feast, let's eat together." After that, Yejing took out his mobile phone and contacted Jizikiu. "Since we are going to eat dragon meat, we can't forget the chief who has been taking care of them." After a while, The call was connected. What's wrong? Have you rested well? Jizuki said. Yejing invited, Chief, bring Xiaokui and Xiaoyan to Gray's Manor, treat you to dragon meat. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Buletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 496. As one of the few acquaintances of Yejing, Jizuki, Ai Xiaokui, and Xiaoyan were all invited. After all, it is more fun when there are more people. What's more, a few people can eat as much meat as they want. The flame dragon is so big, even if a few pieces of meat are lost, it doesn't matter. Dragon meat. Jizuki's tone was very calm and he was not surprised. He thought about it and refused, forget it, I'm still busy. How about you let Xiaokui take Xiaoyan to eat? He didn't know it was the meat of the blazing dragon, and thought it was just ordinary dragon meat. Although ordinary dragon meat was expensive, it was not worth the trip. Moreover, Hellfire has just moved to the ruins of the Lonely City. The Demon City is still in chaos and there is a mountain of work. He has no time to walk away. Did I not speak clearly? Yejing invited again, it's not ordinary dragon meat, it's the dragon meat of the flaming dragon. It contains very high value. Jizuki. The dragon meat of the flaming dragon. Jizuki's tone suddenly became louder, and he asked in surprise, you met the flaming dragon? And you dug a piece of meat from it? He also knew that the flaming dragon had arrived near the demon city, but he didn't expect that Yejing and the others would encounter it and even dig out a piece of dragon meat. This was a bit scary. When he heard that it was the dragon meat of the flaming dragon, he was immediately moved. What kind of creature is the flaming dragon? The flaming dragon has always eaten from others. When will someone come to eat the flaming dragon? But Jizuki hesitated and said, how many kilograms? If it's less, I won't go. You guys can divide it? Yejing chuckled, you will know when you come here. Let's put it this way, Gray's father took out all his 13 wives to eat meat, and you just have to say whether that's enough. After hearing what Yejing said, Jizuki agreed decisively, then I understand. I will bring Xiaokui and Xiaoyan over right away. Is Chief Ji coming? On the side, Gray was fiddling with the oven and asked. Yejing nodded, come here in a moment, let's start preparations. The two of them, with Zhao Xingbang and Xiao Qinglian on one side, and Gray's father with his concubine on the other side. Adults and children are separated and can eat comfortably. The dragon meat of the blazing dragon cannot be grilled by ordinary fire. The supreme flame burning brightly on the stove is the fire of the sun. This was extracted from the sun essence bought from Yejing. The temperature of the scorching sun is high enough to grill dragon meat. Here we go. Zhao Xingbang dug out a large piece of dragon meat from the flaming dragon with quick hands and feet. A chunk of dragon meat. Several kilograms. Hurry up and cut. Xiao Qinglian urged impatiently from the side, she couldn't wait to eat. Compared to the flaming dragon barbecue, what's the breakfast at Yejing's house in the morning? Thinking of this, Xiao Qinglian couldn't help but look at Yejing with contempt. Stingy, the first meal in the magic city was just scrambled eggs for her. Zhao Hanbang used a golden shovel to cut the dragon's meat into small pieces. The golden shovel, the ancestral secret treasure passed down from generation to generation of the Nugget sect, was used by him as a kitchen knife. If their ancestors knew this, they would be so angry that they would jump out of their coffins. My ancestors are on my side, please bypass me. It's not that I don't respect the nuggets, it's just that dragon meat is so delicious. Zhao Xingbang silently apologized in his heart. Let's start too. Yejing said to Gray, and then went to dig out a large piece of dragon meat from the flame dragon. The three men started working together, while Xiao Qinglian was waiting to eat. Hurry up. Can I eat it? Can I eat it? Xiao Qinglian looked impatient and even reached out to grab meat on the stove. The scorching temperature of the sun naturally cannot harm her. Hey, what's the rush? Yejing slapped Xiao Qinglian's hand away, rolled his eyes and said, I just got angry, and the blood has not burned out yet. Can't you eat it if it's rare? This is not even half cooked. Yejing got a knife from nowhere and cut the meat one by one. 10 minutes later, Yejing was tapped on the shoulder from behind. When he turned around, he saw 3 shocked and stunned faces. Yo, you're here. Yejing smiled and said. Can you explain to me what's going on with this big guy? Jizuki looked shocked and his tone was trembling. When he first came in, he was almost frightened to death by the huge flaming dragon. I thought the flaming dragon invaded the magic city. It wasn't until he didn't notice the life breath on the flame dragon that he stopped. Jizuki took a deep breath, spit it out, and said solemnly, Is this what you hunted? Yejing nodded. Accident, it was purely an accident. It was seriously injured after going through the tribulation, and then the 3 of us accidentally met it. Then, we accidentally got into a fight with it, and after a while, we were beaten to death by it. Jizuki. I accept this reason. Awesome, nothing to say. Fighting and fighting, were you beaten to death by the flaming dragon? Why can't such a good thing happen to me? Jizuki held it in for a long time before spitting out 2 words. Awesome. Jizuki recovered slowly because he had broad experience and strong endurance. But there are still those who can't bear it. Izayakoi shook the coat she was wearing. She, who had always been calm and composed, froze. She looked at Yejing with a strange look on her face, not knowing what to say. Yejing smiled at Izayakoi and said, Eat well and drink well. Izayakoi nodded stiffly, silently took out a delicate knife, and went to cut meat and grill meat, doing it herself to have enough food and clothing. She didn't say anything polite to Yejing. Jizuki and Yejing recovered, leaving only a silly girl. When had Ji Qinjian, this silly girl, ever seen such a big thing? Her little head was on standby, her eyes were dull, and she was still mumbling in her mouth. Is this a dragon? Can this be eaten? Am I worthy of eating this thing? Yejing couldn't help laughing when he heard Ji Qinjian's mumbling. He stretched out his hand and waved it in front of Ji Qinjian's eyes. Silly girl, come back to your senses. Hey! Yejing pushed Ji Qinjian's back. Ah! Ji Qinjian looked confused. Yejing rubbed Ji Qinjian's little head, pushed her to the side of Xiao Qinglian, and chuckled, Go eat. Oh! Ji Qinjian nodded blankly, and stood beside Xiao Qinglian in a daze. Miss, are you also a friend of Brother Jing and Brother Lei? Ji Qinjian stood next to Xiao Qinglian and asked curiously. Xiao Qinglian looked Ji Qinjian up and down, looking thoughtful. First, look at her height. Not as tall as her. Look at Ji Qinjian's breasts again. Not as big as hers. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 497. It seems that I am not that young. Xiao Qinglian was proud in her heart. Just these 2 aspects made Xiao Qinglian's impression of Ji Qinjian full. She showed a gentle smile on her face and nodded, Yes, we are friends. What's your name, sister? Ji Qinjian's little mouth was sweet, and Xiao Qinglian laughed. Yejing suddenly interrupted, Her name is Qinglian, you can just call her Qinglian grandma. Bang! Xiao Qinglian punched Yejing's abdomen with a heavy punch, and smiled with murderous intent, What did you say? Hiss. Yejing took a breath of cold air and forced a smile on his face, Call her sister Qinglian. Sister. You are old enough to be the ancestor of her ancestor's ancestor, right? Pa. Pretending to be young. Oh, she looks cute. That's fine. Xiao Qinglian snorted, touched Ji Qinjian's little head, who was only 3 inches taller than her, patted her flat chest, held her head high, and said confidently, "Call me Sister Qinglian, I will protect you in the future. Don't pat it, the more you pat it, the flatter it will be." Sister Qinglian. It seems that Ji Qingjian is still good at sucking up to others. An old girl and a little girl, just mixed together like this. Hurry up and bake it. What are you wasting time on? Can you hurry up? My little sister is still waiting. Xiao Qinglian urged Zhao Danggong. Yes, yes, yes. Zhao Danggong cursed in his heart, I'm not a tool man, if you want to eat, go and bake it yourself. Didn't I just dig down a lotus statue of yours, so why do you hold a grudge? Bake your own. Yejing stood beside Ji Ziqiu, grilling meat while asking, is there a lot of work in the demon city now? Ji Ziqiu rolled the meat with dragon blood, with a worried look on his face, the work is piled up like a mountain. A bunch of old guys, whether they are semi-saints or extraordinary, all ran to the ruins of the lonely city. Thanks to them, a lot of work has been thrown to me. At the end, Ji Ziqiu felt like gritting his teeth, as if he wanted to eat people alive. Now the board of directors is about to explode, and there are only a few younger directors left to resist. After saying that, Ji Ziqiu glanced at Yejing and said, don't forget that you are also a director, it's time to come back to work, right? Work. Yejing shook his head repeatedly, don't joke, I was so busy the past 2 days, and now I'm still on vacation. The dean said that I will have at least 1 month of vacation. Going back to work now, what a joke. He still has a lot of personal things to do now. The flaming dragon needs to be divided, and the weapon needs to be made by himself. The black and white cat is still sleeping. After all, it has eaten a lot of resources. The passive skills that come out this time must be earth-shattering. It's funny to ask him to go back to work at this time. Hey. Ji Ziqiu sighed, with a look of disappointment, I knew it, forget it, let's fight it again. At least now I have a meal of dragon meat, which can be regarded as a reward for myself. About 30 minutes later, the dragon meat of the flaming dragon was roasted, and this is still the premise of roasting meat with the sun's flames. If it is ordinary flames, I don't know how long it will take. Ji Ziqiu was depressed and angry, biting the dragon meat in big mouthfuls, without even a trace of elegant temperament. The dragon meat was roasted and oily, the meat was soft, and the unique fragrance of dragon meat filled the surroundings. Delicious. This bite instantly filled Ji Ziqiu's taste nerves. A happy smile appeared on his face, and the depression was swept away. It's delicious. Yejing took a bite of the tender dragon meat, his eyes lit up, and he exclaimed, this evil dragon is fresh and juicy. I didn't expect it to be so delicious. Gray also fiercely tore off a large piece of dragon meat, bit it in his mouth, and the fragrance was in his heart, not bad, this is better than any food I have ever eaten, and it is also high-end. Izayakui silently tore a small piece of dragon meat and stuffed it into his mouth. It smells so good. Silently crying, I have never eaten such high-end ingredients in my life. Here, 2 young ladies. Zhao Danggong roasted the dragon meat, and handed it to Xiao Qinglian and Ji Qingjian with a heartbroken face, leaving a small piece for himself. Thank you, brother Danggong, Ji Qingjian gave Zhao Danggong a sweet smile in return, and then took the dragon meat away without hesitation. Sister Qinglian, your little brother is very honest. Little Qinglian said casually, it's okay, but he's a little naughty. He needs to be educated more. He's not the only naughty one. Ji Qingjian whispered, and secretly glanced at Yejing and Gray, these 2 guys are also very naughty. Can Sister Qinglian deal with them? Don't worry, they can't escape the palm of my hand, little Qinglian is very confident. On the other side, Yejing came to Izayakui and asked, are you still doing bounty missions now? Bounty missions? Izayakui was slightly stunned, and suddenly remembered that she seemed to know Yejing because of bounty missions. No, the market is not good during this period, the economy is depressed, and I can't get any missions. Izayakui said unnaturally, not that she couldn't get any missions, but that she didn't want to take them. When she went to Pluto some time ago, she also mixed a few missions. She was lucky enough to make a lot of money. She couldn't help but clear her debts and even had a lot left. Just like that, she, who had been working hard, had been idle for more than a month. So there was no job. Yejing's heart moved, and he said what he thought. We will go to the board of directors to work in a while. Do you want to help? Yejing invited. Board of directors. Izayakui frowned, that kind of place is not suitable for me, right? I feel numb all over when I think about it, asking me to review documents in the office. Yejing shrugged, it's right to transform, and we have to think about the future. Now Gray and the guy called Zhao Danggong are about to become directors. It's good to have a guarantee for the future if we follow the big team to make achievements. Then I'll think about it. Izayakui didn't agree immediately. After all, it's okay for her to kill people, but it's really hard for her to work in the office. But the work of the board of directors is really tempting. The dragon meat meeting lasted for 3 hours. Everyone's mouth was full of oil and their stomachs were full. They didn't even want to move. Xiao Qinglian and Ji Qinjian sat on the ground without any image, rubbing their soft stomachs with satisfied expressions on their faces. So full. So good. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 498. After eating and drinking, Jizukiu still had work to do, so he said hello and left. Xiaoyan, let's go too. Izayakui dragged Ji Qinjian to leave. I'm playing for a while. I also want to hear Sister Qinglian talk about her past. Ji Qinjian frowned and refused. Listening to past events, I was listening to Xiao Qinglian bragging. When these words came out, Yejing and the others laughed, and Xiao Qinglian glared at them fiercely. Why don't you take Qinglian away first? She wants to buy something. You two can take her to the mall, Yejing suggested. He still had things to do next and didn't have time to accompany these few. A girl played. Gray also nodded, you guys go shopping first, we will look for you in 2 days. Hearing this, Ji Qinjian's eyes lit up, that's good, we have nothing to do anyway. Qinglian, are you going? Izayakui turned to look at Xiao Qinglian. She didn't know how awesome Xiao Qinglian was, but she just regarded her as a little girl like Ji Qinjian. Xiao Qinglian agreed without hesitation. Okay, anyway, I'm not used to following a few stinky men. Apart from being a follower, there's no use for me. After saying that, he looked at Yejing and the others with contempt. Then let's leave first. If anything happens, just come to us at the tavern. Izayakui said to Yejing. After saying that, he pulled Ji Qinjian and left. Ji Qinjian didn't walk away like an ordinary person, holding Xiao Qinglian in one hand and jumping around, showing how lively she was. After they left, Gray's father also came over and said hello, letting Yejing and the others play at home without anyone caring about them. Even after expressing this intention, he took his 13 wives out of the backyard. After eating and drinking, it was time to get down to business. The eyes of Yejing and the others finally turned to the body of the flaming dragon. After eating such a big thing for 20 people, they only got a little bit of meat out of it. The fact that the dragon's blood was shed all over the place made them feel a little distressed. How should we divide this thing? Zhao Xingbar burped and asked. Should we cut it with an excavator? Gray said. The big thing, which is more than 1,000 meters long, is several hundred meters long even if it is horizontal. It is really difficult to handle. Your excavator can cut such a big thing, Yejing retorted. Then what are you using? Don't say it's a kitchen knife. Kitchen knives are for cutting beef and mutton, not dragon meat, Gray chuckled. Yejing asked curiously, how do you cut the dragon meat in other hotels? Gray shook his head, maybe there are some professional tools. Do you want us to borrow them, or do you want to hire a professional? No, forget it. Yejing refused, it's better not to make such a big fuss. You invite professionals to come. He thought he was cutting a dragon. You are the biggest dragon in the world and a flaming dragon in the 3 disaster realms. You shouldn't be scared to death by others. I'm not kidding. There are dragons on the blue star and in the solar system, but what are they? Most of them evolved from lizards and only had a trace of dragon veins in their bodies. The dragons evolved from dragon veins were not very strong. Apart from the flame dragon, the most awesome dragon they saw was the thunder dragon egg that King Li bought. The concentration of dragon veins in that brontosaurus egg is pretty good. At least it was a brontosaurus that evolved from 2 lizards and then combined to give birth to a very pure dragon. As long as they grow up and breed with similar purebred dragons, the concentration of dragon veins will increase within a few generations. Unfortunately, I don't know if the thunder dragon egg in King Li's hand has hatched. This won't work, that won't work either, and we can't just leave it like this. Gray sighed and said, if he were to leave it in his home, it would take less than a day for the gate of his manor to be broken down. In less than 2 days, the entire blue star would know that the flame dragon was hunted by them, and the dragon body would be released at their home. By then, not to mention peace, everyone will probably come to eat dragon meat. Just when Yejing and Gray were frowning and distressed, Zhao turned over on the horizontal bar and suddenly stood up, looking arrogant and smug. See how this little thing has troubled you, so let me take action. What can you do? Yejing glanced at him sideways and almost laughed. To be honest, what else can you do besides eating? Gray added, I can also dig graves. You guys look down on people. Zhao Xingbang's face darkened, and he immediately took out the golden shovel. With a shovel in my hand, I have the world. Use it. Yejing looked surprised. I admit that this thing can cut dragon meat, but don't you think it's not consistent? Zhao Xingbang had no expression on his face. The treasure passed down by thousands of generations has been given to you to cut into meat. Is there anything else that is inconsistent with it? That's not what I meant. Yejing shook his head. He looked at the golden shovel that was half a meter long, and then looked at the flaming dragon that was more than 1,000 meters long. He couldn't help but burst into laughter. With this thing, you have to cut to when, it's the year of the monkey and the month of the horse. Ha 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 ha. He probably wants to divide the flame dragon into 18,000 pieces before dividing it. Hearing the ridicule from Yejing and Gray, Zhao Xingbang glanced at them with disdain, showing a confident look. Just watch it. Then, Zhao moved the horizontal bar. Zhao Danggong held the golden shovel in his right hand, standing it upright in front of his chest, and his left hand brushed across the surface of the golden shovel. In an instant, a golden light flashed. As Zhao Danggong's left hand brushed across the surface of the golden shovel, the golden light gradually covered his hand. Open. With a swish, Zhao Danggong's left hand suddenly brushed across the surface of the golden shovel and swung it in the air forward. Just this stroke made Yejing and Gray's laughter stop abruptly, and the smiles on their faces froze, revealing an extremely shocked expression. At the moment when Zhao Danggong took action, the golden light extended in the direction he brushed across, extending dozens of meters away. A 40-meter machete, Yejing said in surprise. Oh my god, can this thing be played like this? Gray was also very surprised. With such a stroke of genius, the golden shovel, which was only half a meter long, instantly expanded to 100 meters. The golden shovel is a physical object, and the golden light that extends out is 50 meters long. This golden light is like a sword, sharp and shining, and radiating a sharp aura. Zhao Danggong smiled proudly. See, this is also one of my trump cards. I tell you, don't underestimate me, I have a lot of hidden things. Yejing nodded and agreed. Yeah, your trump card is shown for the first time, just to cut meat, awesome. Gray laughed. Do you have to complain about him like this? Yes. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 499. Hearing what Yejing said, Zhao Danggong's face darkened, his hands trembled, and he almost lost his grip on the 50-meter machete. He didn't know if it was intentional, but the golden shovel swayed slightly and almost hit Yejing. Yejing quickly dodged. You are taking revenge on me. Humph. Zhao Danggong snorted coldly. Don't talk nonsense, go out and fight if you have the guts. The 50-meter machete gave him the confidence to challenge Yejing head-on. If it wasn't inconvenient, he would have wanted to throw Yejing directly. Gray asked curiously, is this thing still long? Make it a few hundred meters long and break the flame dragon in half. I think so too, once and for all. Yejing nodded. Zhao Danggong's face darkened. Do you think this is the Ruyijing Gubang? It's long, hundreds of meters long, it will cost you your life. It will cost you your life. Yejing's eyes lit up. What do you care about? Aren't you going to reach the heavenly fate realm soon? What's the difference in life? After many battles, he and Gray also reached the peak of the underground palace realm. It is estimated that they will break through to the heavenly fate realm in a short time. Once you reach the heavenly fate realm, your lifespan will increase, so you don't need this much. Besides, don't look at Zhao Danggong complaining about his lifespan as soon as he took out the golden shovel. In fact, it's not a big deal. Didn't you see that he has black hair? There is no white hair at all, and his lifespan is not affected much. You say it easily, it's not your life anyway. Zhao Danggong rolled his eyes and retorted, then hesitated slightly. Let me try. He raised the golden shovel forward, and the tip of the golden light reached the flaming dragon. Then, he began to inject vitality into it. When Zhao Danggong's vitality flowed into the golden shovel, the golden light that extended out also began to grow, from 50 meters to 60 meters, and from 60 meters to 100 meters. Every 10 meters the golden shovel grew. Zhao Danggong's face turned a little paler, and even a trace of sweat appeared on his forehead. Why not just leave it like this? Yejing also saw his discomfort and said with some worry. It's okay. Zhao Danggong shook his head. I just want to see where the limit is. The golden light on the golden shovel grew from 100 meters to 200 meters. 10 minutes later, it finally stopped at about 380 meters. Huh. When the golden light stopped extending, Zhao Danggong suddenly breathed a sigh of relief, and his arms trembled a little. This was not because of the weight, because the golden light had no weight. He was just a little flustered when he saw the golden light of more than 380 meters. When Zhao Danggong stopped, Yejing and Gray also breathed a sigh of relief. Such a long weapon, except for seeing it on an interstellar battleship, has never been seen anywhere else. Take it easy. Don't cut a dragon and tire yourself to death, Yejing said. Gray also sighed. Too powerful. Your golden shovel is the most powerful weapon I have ever seen. It feels like it is omnipotent and can do anything. You said 10 billion spirit stones, will you sell it? Get lost. Zhao Danggong cursed, then raised the 380-meter machete, adjusted the position, and aimed at the flaming dragon. How did we divide it? How about this, give me the dragon head, and you divide the rest, Zhao Danggong suggested casually. Get lost. Go to hell. He cursed back twice, bullying who doesn't know the business. There are several treasures on the flaming dragon. The dragon heart of the flaming dragon, which has been secretly hidden by Yejing. The dragon eye of the flaming dragon is a very, very precious material, priceless and unique. Whether it is used to make jewelry or as a collection, it is very expensive. The dragon horn of the flaming dragon is a very, very precious material, which is perfect for making weapons. One dragon head occupies 2 dragon eyes and 2 dragon horns. Zhao Danggong wants to swallow them all? Don't dream. Yejing said directly, I originally took the big head. I want 1 dragon eye and 1 dragon horn to make new weapons. The rest you can share. Haha, you are so domineering. Gray smiled, then I want the dragon eye to make an ornament. Just leave me a dragon horn, Zhao Danggong said unhappily, but he didn't refute it. The big head was originally where Yejing was. He said how to divide it? Then I'll cut it off. Zhao Danggong took a deep breath, raised his hand and fell with golden light. With one knife, he directly cut off the head of the flaming dragon. Then, the dragon's blood flowed like a river. Yejing's eyes widened. Gray was distressed, how could you act so quickly? Zhao Danggong wanted to cry but had no tears, I forgot there was such a thing as dragon blood. Gray hurriedly ran to the bottom of the flaming dragon and threw an object similar to a gourd into the pool of dragon blood. The next second, the gourd flashed with white light and sucked in all the dragon blood left in the place. Yejing was surprised, what is this? So magical. Gray laughed, a small gadget, used as a portable swimming pool. Rich people really know how to play. Luckily, Gray had a lot of messy things in his hands, otherwise so much dragon blood would be wasted. Since I have this, I'm not afraid anymore. Zhao Danggong exhaled again, and in a few strokes, except for the dragon head, he cut the flaming dragon according to the previous proportions. Yejing's share was too big, accounting for more than half of the entire flaming dragon. Then Zhao Danggong did not stop, and while the 380-meter golden light had not yet dissipated, he also dug down 2 dragon eyes and 2 dragon horns. Bang, bang, bang. 4 loud noises fell on the ground. Yejing walked over and picked up a dragon eye and a dragon horn, and put them into his storage space. Let's divide the remaining dragon meat and dragon scales like this, Yejing said. Gray nodded, these 2 small pieces belong to Zhao Danggong and me. You take the big one. I will give you the blood that flows out when the time comes. After Gray finished speaking, he just leaned over to take his spoils away, but suddenly froze. Look. What's wrong? Zhao Danggong dispersed the golden light and ran over. Where is the dragon heart of the flaming dragon? Gray frowned and asked. The dragon heart is the most precious part of the flaming dragon. How could it be gone? Zhao Danggong looked along the incision, and sure enough, every blood vessel was broken, and the dragon heart that should have been in the center of the interweaving was gone. Instantly, the 2 looked at Yejing. Yejing had thought of this situation a long time ago, and said calmly, maybe the dragon heart was broken during the fight before. You are kidding. Gray didn't know whether to laugh or cry, tell the truth. You were in the belly of the flaming dragon before, and you must have stolen the dragon heart. Yejing shook his head and denied, I didn't see any dragon heart when I came in. It must have been shattered when I was crossing the tribulation. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bouletin G. Bayet. Chapter 500. I believe you, ghost. You're such a bad little brat. Seeing the disbelieving expressions on their faces, Yejing didn't say anything more, just shrugged his shoulders. It didn't matter, he definitely wanted the dragon heart anyway, so he couldn't compensate them from other parts, so it didn't matter. Dragon blood and dragon scales are both treasures. One is powerful as medicine, and the other is high in defensive defense. If it doesn't work, just share one piece. He can't use so much by himself anyway. How do you want to digest such a big flame dragon? After the division, Gray asked. There was a strange light in his eyes. Yejing and Zhao Xingbang also understood what it meant. Whether it's dragon blood, dragon scales, or dragon meat, they all have to be sold in exchange for spiritual stones. It just depends on the price. Yejing still finds it awkward to put such a large corpse in Yejing's storage space. Zhao Xingbang said with a smile, actually, I don't use too much, I just keep a little for myself. If you want the others, I will sell them to you, but the price doesn't matter. Gray chuckled and said, it's easy to say what the price is. My brother gave me a 20% discount, but it's not too much. Pooh. Zhao Xingbang glanced at Gray with disdain, remember we are brothers when we do business. Why don't you give me a 18% discount? I don't care. There's no market price for this thing. Just give it to me as you see fit, Yejing said. Can the flame dragon still have a market price? A mouthful of dragon blood can push a person directly to the underground palace. The energy contained in it is so overbearing. There are also dragon scales on the body. Let alone the destiny realm, even an extraordinary boss may not be able to break them with one strike. I have to say that the flame dragon is full of treasures. Gray muttered, let's do this. I can't take the lead anyway. I'll ask my father to arrange a negotiation team in the past 2 days to make a valuation for the flame dragon. Then we'll look at the price. Professional. Even business groups are involved. Why don't you hold an auction? As soon as Yejing said this, he suddenly paused and turned to look at Zhao Xingban. At the same time, Zhao Xingbang also looked at Yejing. The eyes of the two people suddenly lit up. What was reflected in their eyes was not the pupils of the other party, but the white spirit stones. Auction! Auction! The two said in unison. What can drive up prices more than an auction? Especially this unparalleled flame dragon, the only one in the entire solar system. Just like if you find a buyer directly, you may not be able to get a high price. But not necessarily at auction. To be honest, the auction is a real blood-draining maniac. No kidding, if you really invite a group of big guys here, once you are interested in a certain part of the flame dragon, no matter if it is for face or something, the price will definitely go up. We must hold an auction, Zhao Xingbang said with determination, as if this matter must be settled. Yejing nodded firmly, yes, only by auctioning all parts of the flaming dragon can the value be maximized. Aren't you too? Gray smiled bitterly, feeling a little weak. He was almost able to win this business, but who would have thought that Yejing would change it to an auction? It's such a shame that this happened. But Yejing frowned, if we hold an auction, we have to contact big guys from all walks of life. In terms of connections, we don't know anyone. This is true, how can these juniors know anyone? Yejing knew the dean and the others, but what next? Dean, a semi-saint boss like Anthony doesn't need the body parts of the flaming dragon. The best targets for sale are those in the transcendent realm and the destiny realm. The body parts of the flaming dragon are of greatest help to them. Thinking of this, he almost forgot that he was just a newcomer to the destiny realm. That's true. Zhao Xingbang's face tightened, if you ask me to find enemies, I can find a lot of them, but to find friends, it's not because I'm self-deprecating. I don't know anyone except you. Suddenly, a basin of cold water was poured on the heads of Yejing and Zhao Xingbang, and the dream of windfall was suddenly put on their shoulders. Things like connections are so important. Gray laughed at the side, if it doesn't work, just sell it to me. I will definitely not treat you badly in terms of price. Selling your house? Why does a salted fish seller want dragon meat? Feed the fish, Yejing glanced at him sideways and said angrily. Our family is affiliated with the Holy Light Chamber of Commerce. Gray was halfway through his words when he suddenly stopped. His heart skipped a beat, as if he had said something he shouldn't have said. Holy Light Chamber of Commerce. Yejing's eyes lit up. That's right. Who said we have to hold an auction by ourselves? We can consign it. Zhao Xingbang also laughed. Isn't the Holy Light Chamber of Commerce experts in this thing? You can really find them. I'm such a bitch. Gray saw the changing expressions of the two people and cursed himself inwardly. Zhao horizontal bar, go see if there are any large-scale auctions held by Holy Light Chamber of Commerce on Blue Star recently, Yejing said. Well, leave it to me, Zhao Xingbang nodded. Although the flaming dragon has not expired, it is still very ugly. It is best to take action early. The three of them packed their share into their respective storage spaces. The once awesome flaming dragon was divided among these three people. After a busy day, the sky gradually darkened, and Gray invited Yejing. How about staying at my house today? He also had a sudden idea. After all, it was dark, and he had to send someone to send Yejing back, so it was better to stay there directly. Yejing thought about it and found that he had nothing to do. Xiao Qinglian was also taken away by Ai Xiaokui and Ji Qinjian. As a single dog, it didn't matter where he lived. Okay. Yejing nodded, find me a quiet and remote room. I just took advantage of this time when I was not working to retreat for a few days to consolidate my cultivation. Retreat for a few days? Gray looked at Yejing speechlessly. Whose retreat is not a year or a few years? Why is it just a few days for Yejing? What can you do in a few days? It's not enough for the big guy to enter meditation. But since Yejing said so, he had to agree. After packing up, Yejing was arranged by Gray to live in a 2-story villa in the manor. Don't come to see me these 2 days, I might be busy. Before Yejing went in, he solemnly told Gray. Gray didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You think you are a great beauty. I'm too lazy to look for you. It's just that you are not here. I can take Zhao Danggong to the nightclub to have fun. Then I'd better not retreat. Get lost. Walking into the small villa, Yejing's face suddenly became serious. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin Ji Bayet. Chapter 501. Yejing walked into the small villa without even entering the room. He just sat in the living room and couldn't wait to enter the furnace space. As soon as he entered the furnace space, countless abyssal energy poured into his body, filling up everything he had consumed before. In the furnace space, 1/10 of the space was filled with hellfire, which could continuously provide him with abyss energy. Yes, I was quite prescient at that time. Yejing looked at the black flame hellfire piled in a corner of the furnace space and showed a proud smile. As long as these hellfires are there, there is no need to worry about running out of abyss energy. In the center of the furnace space, the black and white cat lay quietly on the ground, exuding sacred light from all over. At this time, the black and white cat wanted to be a real lady. It's a pity, I just don't know when I will wake up. Now the black and white cat has entered a deep sleep state. When she wakes up, she will definitely give Yejing a big surprise. After all, a large amount of energy was obtained from the inner space of the earth, and it was all swallowed up by the black and white cat. 1 billion spirit stones, the abyss energy in the earth's core space, the blue star core, etc., so much high-level energy was consumed in one go. If this didn't evolve into something good, Yejing would probably kill her. It's time to get down to business. Yejing sat cross-legged in the furnace space, close to the hellfire, and took out all the materials he had prepared. He wants to make his own weapons. Everything you need is ready. Fire, use hellfire. Energy, use abyss energy. With these two things, you don't even need to prepare a stove. The materials are all from the flame dragon. Although the weapons created must have special flame effects, it doesn't matter to him. Yejing took out the materials one by one. Dragon heart, dragon eyes, dragon horns, dragon scales, dragon blood. These materials alone are enough, he doesn't even need to prepare auxiliary metals. The first step is smelting. Yejing first focused on the dragon scales. He took out 3 huge dragon scales, which together covered an area of more than 10 square meters. Using dragon scales as the blade, it should be 2 meters long. Hellfire, come! Yejing murmured, and the abyss energy in his body burst out, shrouded in a sea of hellfire. The black flames are billowing, and although they have little temperature, their lethality and annihilation power cannot be underestimated. Yejing carefully controlled the hellfire, which was slowly covered with dragon scales. The moment the hellfire touched the dragon scales, there was a trace of melting on the flame dragon's scales. As more hellfire covered the dragon scales began to slowly deform and turned into deep red water. 10 minutes. 20 minutes. Half an hour. Call. Yejing breathed a long sigh of relief and wiped the fine sweat from his head. It was indeed the scales of the blazing dragon. Even if they were melted with hellfire, it would take more than half an hour. These pieces of dragon scales, under the erosion of hellfire, completely turned into a deep red liquid, wrapped in the energy of the abyss, without spilling any. Even so, Yejing did not stop, but continued. Such a large amount of dragon scale liquid needs to be concentrated in large quantities, leaving behind an essence containing terrifying energy. After the dragon scale liquid slowly shrunk, until it was almost enough to create a 2-meter long sword behind it, Yejing stopped. Condensation. Yejing looked directly at the dragon scale liquid. After withdrawing the hellfire, he controlled the abyss energy to form the liquid into the shape of a sword. A crimson thin sword 2 meters long and 8 centimeters wide. This process was extremely slow, fine-tuning, and constant fine-tuning. It took more than an hour before the rapier model came out. How to convert liquid into solid? There is no need to worry about this at all. Due to the hardness of the dragon scales, after being compressed into such a small rapier, it is already a solid body and only needs to be smelted to take shape. Next is dragon heart. Yejing placed the model of the rapier on the ground, and then set his sights on Long Xin. This is a dead dragon heart, and its original bright red color has turned into dark red. Let the dragon's heart be melted directly into the model. Yejing thought to himself, controlling the dragon's heart to place it on the surface of the sword model, and then crushing the dragon's heart through the control of the abyss energy. The most essential energy of countless flaming dragons was wrapped in the abyss energy. For a moment, Yejing seemed to feel the sword model suddenly light up, as if there was a magical heartbeat echoing in his ears. Is this resonance? Yejing thought silently. There was no need for him to go to great lengths to forcibly integrate the dragon heart energy into the sword model. When the homeless dragon heart energy sensed the sword model, it naturally flowed in and merged directly into one. Sure enough, it's easier to use your own stuff. Yejing couldn't help but sigh when he saw this scene. This would take another layer off his work. When the dragon heart energy was integrated into the sword model obviously changed. First of all, the color is brighter red, as if it has come alive. Secondly, both the power and hardness have been greatly improved after being blessed by the dragon heart energy. Then there's the hilt. Yejing picked up the dragon horn on the ground, burned it with hellfire into a suitable sword hilt model, controlled it with abyss energy, and inserted it under the sword model. Finally, he set his sights on the dragon's eye. This is a huge ruby, several times larger than the entire sword. With more practice, Yejing became proficient. First, he used hellfire to smelt the dragon eye into a ruby about the size of 2 thumbs. All the energy contained in the dragon eye was concentrated in this small ruby. If it exploded, at least 2 of Yejing's lives would be blown up. This process was longer than smelting dragon scales. As time passed, It took 8 hours to complete. 8 hours. It's worthy of being a dragon eye. Yejing's spirit was sluggish, and his face was pale and bloodless due to fatigue. The energy and spirit used to smelt the dragon eye was too much. Is it done? Yejing breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the formed little dragon eye. After a short rest, Yejing embedded the dragon eye in the lower end of the sword model and the upper end of the hilt. With this, the model of the entire new weapon has been completed. At this point, the new weapon is also mostly completed. The sword body is made of dragon scales, which are blessed by the dragon heart. The hilt is made of dragon horns, which are blessed by dragon eyes. The next step is to wait. Yejing soaked the intact sword model in the dragon blood he had prepared in advance, which was filled in a large bucket, more than a ton. As long as the sword model absorbs the dragon blood, the entire weapon will be completed by 90%. The remaining 10% will be continuously tempered and hammered with hellfire and abyss energy, which is an extremely long process. Why are all of them passive skills? Author, Bulletin G. Bayet. Chapter 502. The model of the new weapon has been made, and now we just need to wait. It doesn't take much time, just a few hours, but if we want the new weapon to really take shape, we need to wait for a long time. This weapon can be said to be a growing type. It is now soaked in dragon blood. When this batch of dragon blood is absorbed, there will be another batch until he has no dragon blood in his hand. Yejing has already thought about it. Every time he uses it, he will take it out of the dragon blood. When he is not using it, he will keep soaking in the dragon blood and keep tempering it. The weapon is done, and it's my turn next. Yejing took a breath and muttered to himself. He entered the furnace space. In fact, he really wanted to retreat. Creating a new weapon is just the first task. Next, he will replace all the energy in his body with abyss energy. That's right. It's time to abandon the spiritual energy and use the abyss energy. His current energy ratio is 85% spiritual energy and 15% abyss energy. The proportion of abyss energy is too small, it is not enough at all. Even if the hellfire in his furnace space can continuously provide abyssal energy, it is not completely his own. Only by replacing all the spiritual energy with abyssal energy can he enter another new stage. Not only that, his strength will also be greatly improved to a terrifying level. Imagine fighting with an enemy of the same level, and the enemy is using spiritual energy, and you just release a little abyssal energy and destroy all the enemy's spiritual energy. This is not the same level of energy, the gap is too big. Spiritual energy is only the most basic and most extensive energy, and the solar system is full of countless spiritual energy. However, in addition to spiritual energy, there are also higher energies such as solar essence, planetary core, and even omega beam. And abyssal energy is more advanced than these. Yejing sat cross-legged in the furnace space, closed his eyes and calmed his mind, calming his breath and resting his mind, putting himself in a very stable state. Relax your mind and expel all the spiritual energy in your body bit by bit, whether it is in your blood, internal organs, or blood vessels, without leaving any, and remove them all from your body. This is the rhythm of a big blood exchange, which is very slow. It took less than 5% of an hour to complete. After all, this is not a waste of spiritual energy, but also to consider the condition of the body. Don't be anxious, don't be panic, there is plenty of time. Yejing just quietly expelled the spiritual energy from his body bit by bit. This process lasted for a day and a night. When Yejing opened his eyes again, there was only 15% of the abyss energy left in his body. The spiritual energy that had been contained in his blood vessels and even muscles was all squeezed out of his body by him, providing a place for the upcoming abyss energy. The next is the highlight. Yejing set his eyes on the hellfire, his face was a little pale, the process of expelling spiritual energy was calm, but it was very tiring the body and the spirit. The hellfire was swaying, and the black flames emitted invisible energy. The flames would not decrease, but the abyss energy was increasing. This seemed to be inconsistent with the law of conservation of energy. Yejing rested for only a short while before he pulled the abyss energy in the air into his body. One strand, one strand, one strand. His movements were very light and gentle, and the abyss energy was like a stream, slowly flowing into rivers, lakes, and seas. The moist abyss energy poured into Yejing's body, and his face instantly became rosy, as if it had been caressed by clean water. The abyss energy followed Yejing's traction, flowed into his blood vessels, into his tendons, and began to occupy this body, treating this body as his home. 16%. 17%. Whenever a strand of abyss energy was charged into Yejing's body, his spirit would be lifted, and the damage caused by the spiritual energy leaving the body would be reduced. No hurry. Yejing thought silently that when a strand of abyss energy was settled in his body, he would pull another strand of abyss energy in from the vicinity of the hellfire. 25%. 27%. There was a trace of spiritual energy hidden deep inside, but it also left the body under the pressure of the abyss energy. This is equivalent to Yejing's second entry. The first entry was to lead the spiritual energy into the body, step into the human realm, and become a practitioner. And the second time is to lead the abyss energy into the body and push himself to another level. Time is moving, and Yejing is also moving. As time passes, Yejing's spirit has returned to normal, and the weakness and soreness in the body gradually disappear. The adverse consequences of the spiritual energy leaving the body are also filled by the abyss energy. 50%. 57%. As the abyss energy occupies more than half of his body, Yejing, who was originally expressionless, can't help but smile. He can feel that his body is undergoing tremendous changes. This is a kind of transformation. The first transformation was brought to him by the spiritual energy. The second transformation was brought to him by the abyss energy. Yejing's mouth curled up slightly. He felt that he was really extravagant. He dared to swallow so much hellfire by himself and replace all his energy with abyss energy. Even the Dean and Emperor Wu Tian would not dare to do this, right? After all, the current solar system does not have so much abyss energy for these big guys to consume. Who else can carry a lot of hellfire like Yejing, like an unlimited solar charger? Only Yejing has the confidence to abandon the spiritual energy and completely transform it into abyss energy. Dean, Emperor Wu Tian and others dared to transform 30%, which was admirable. Fourth day of retreat. 75%. 76%. Gray and Zhao Danggong outside didn't know what Yejing was doing. Except for the first day when they came to see him with some concern, they never came again. Anyway, he was at home and he couldn't die. These two were living a life of debauchery, and Yejing had obviously forgotten about them. Seventh day of retreat. 91%. 92%. His body was full of fullness, as if it was about to be filled with something. It was like an empty water bottle, which was about to be filled with water with Yejing's continuous efforts. The closer it got to the last moment, the slower the progress of the abyss energy, and the remaining links seemed to be blocked by something, and they were getting slower and slower. In the end, I couldn't even make 1% progress a day. The 14th day of retreat. The abyss energy occupied 95% of my body. The 16th day of retreat. The abyss energy occupied 96% of my body. The 17th day of retreat. The abyss energy occupied 95% of my body. The 16th day of retreat. The 16th day of retreat. The 17th 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 day of retre The 20th day of retreat. The abyss energy occupied 97% of my body.